Hello, my name is Dennis O'Brien, but recently I've been feeling more like Harry Seldon of the Foundation. That's because humanity is approaching a Seldon Crisis, a moment in history when just the slightest shift can lead to a vastly different future. The closest parallel happened 5 centuries ago, when the age of exploration became the age of colonialism and imperialism. Then, as now, countries with advanced technologies sought to control the resources of so called New Worlds. The resulting conflicts brought war, suffering, and neglect to all of humanity, and the ripple effects are still being felt today. I started the Space Treaty Project in 2017 to respond to the approaching crisis. The mission of the project is to give people hope and inspiration by helping the nations of the world to build a common future. We believe the best way to do that is to help create a new international agreement that supports private activity in outer space while protecting essential public policies like free access, non appropriation, due regard for the interests of others, and the rights of settlers and settlements under customary international law. I am a child of Sputnik and grew up focused on science and technology. But then I read this book, Foundation by Isaac Asimov, and found an even greater interest. I graduated with a history degree, then did graduate work in the history of science and technology. That's when I learned that major shifts in human history are often predicated by breakthroughs in science or technology, and I expected the same would happen with outer space. But when I entered law school in the early 80s, there were no courses in space law. So I took courses like corporations, intellectual property, antitrust, and alternative dispute resolution. Then I got lucky. In my third year, NASA came to my school, the University of California in San Francisco, to begin a legal research project. After an introductory lecture, we were given free rein to explore any topic we wanted and produce a research paper. The title of my paper was OTV, An Argument for the Independent Trader, a nod to Asimov's Association of Independent Traders, which was featured in the second novel of the series, Foundation and Empire. In 1985, NASA still had a monopoly on domestic launches to keep the shuttle program economically sustainable. But I argued that humanity could not sustain a presence in outer space without the private sector. I became convinced that private ownership was not only more feasible, but also promoted many public policy concerns. This is precisely the underlying rationale of the 18th SDG. Supporting private activity in outer space is good public policy. We need its resources, talent, creativity, and enthusiasm to sustain humanity's departure from the homeworld. I also noted the importance of a supportive legal framework. The technology for the OTVs is available, but has not yet been tapped. To the extent that this hesitancy results from an uncertain legal regime, the problem needs to be addressed. This was true in 1985, and it is still true today. The current effort of the United Nations to draft new international governance instruments is intended to clear up the ambiguities of the Outer Space Treaty concerning the rights and responsibilities of private actors in outer space, including the ownership of resources. It appears that they are willing to support private activity and the ownership of resources removed from in place, but they are also likely to support other public policies, like sharing access to resources and reporting the results of space resource activity, including the discovery of new resources. I know that many of you cringe at the suggestion of any new responsibilities or limitations imposed on private actors in outer space. I have the same sentiment, but I nevertheless support the effort toward enhanced outer space governance. Why? Because I believe that there is a distinction between colonists and colonialists. I think Space Renaissance International also believes in this distinction, and that is why the Space Treaty Project is supporting the proposal for an 18th Sustainable Development Goal. To highlight this difference, I'm going to return to the historical parallel between humanity's departure from the homeworld and the Europeans' discovery of new worlds. Those who do not want any additional outer space governance will argue that, yes, there is competition for resources in new locations, but unlike 5 centuries ago, no one inhabits those locations. They are empty, barren, and going to waste. We will not be displacing anyone nor taking anyone's resources. Additional governance will only impede humanity's use of such resources and the benefits they provide. This is the view of the colonialists. It is reasonable, but it is also narrow and short-sighted. For one thing, it ignores the other collateral damage caused by colonialism and imperialism. But perhaps more importantly, it is simply wrong. We are the settlers. We represent the interests of those who work and live on the moon, Mars, and elsewhere. In a practical sense, we are already there, advocating for a civilian presence in outer space that will sustain and improve life for all humanity, both in space and on Earth. Just as we are living the dream of those who came before us, so too must we build and protect the dreams of those who come after us. They are counting on us to lay the foundation for a shining city on the hill that will light the way for all. There is another helpful analogy in the foundation. Right now, the moon is like the planet Terminus in its early years. Like the four kingdoms surrounding Terminus, there are powerful countries and consortiums on Earth who are attempting to control the moon. The solution for Terminus was to create a balance of power among the kingdoms so that no one of them could seize control. That is also the purpose of the new international agreement being debated at the United Nations, to prevent dominance of outer space by any one power, so that the benefits of outer space can be enjoyed by everyone. There is one final lesson from Foundation that we must consider. Humanity cannot rely on some outside force to shape our destiny, be it a second foundation or a spiritual divinity or even the invisible hand of economic self-interest. Humanity must control its own destiny. That is why we are here today. We are not some elite group of policymakers who are trying to control every aspect of human activity. We mean to create a structure that supports individual freedom and the right of settlements to build their own future. History has shown us that if we do nothing, then those rights and freedoms will disappear in the face of militant nationalism and exclusive monopolies. So I ask all of you, in addition to supporting the 18th Sustainable Development Goal, that you also support the work of the United Nations towards a new international agreement. To that end, please consider signing our petition supporting their work. For more information and a link to the petition, please visit our website, spacetreaty.org. Thank you very much for your time and attention.